What sane individual in their right mind would pick the SIBEAR? Well, me of course. Picked it up so I can show you guys how amazingly basic it is.
It's not a thing.
What's good, folks? It's Nightmare Frame here with a new Warframe video coming at you with the SIBEAR Incarnon build and review. Now, for those wondering, hey, do these Incarnon changes actually make the SIBEAR better, stronger? To some degree, yes. However, it doesn't change the fact that it's a hammer. Now, some of you may be wondering, hey, but there's a lot of strong hammers, like the Fragor. You're absolutely right. But think about it properly. It's a hammer, right, with decent attack speed. Like, okay, not the greatest crit chance, and it's pure cold. Not to mention, the requirements to craft this thing are absurdly stupid. A bunch of cryotic and nanospores, I mean, like, why? But anyway, with that aside, we get this hammer. Taking a look at the stats, as you may see, it's quite meh. I don't know, that's all I can say, it's quite meh. But the one important thing about this hammer that really makes it bad is this right here. Now, for those who are wondering, it's like, what is that? It's like follow through. Take a look at carefully. It's 0.4 follow through. This is horrible. Yeah, hammers are not that great when it comes to follow through. Literally all of them have 0.4 follow through except the Volnus Prime, which is a slash based hammer. But anyway, going back to this. For those who don't know what that means, this determines the damage each subsequent enemy receives when you hit more than one target in a single swing, okay? As the damage begins to diminish as you hit more than one target. Now, in this case, it's 0.4 follow through, which means 40% of the damage will be followed through. 40. For example, the first target will receive 100% of the damage, while the second will only take 40%, which is that 0.4. As the swing moves to the third target, they will have that 40% reduced by 40%, which will then be 0.16. And so on and so forth. Each hit reduced by 0.4. And I'll usually say, hey, even if you have 0.4, still mod for range because you're hitting more enemies. This logic only applies if the weapon was slash based or can force proc slash with a stance, because any of those slash procs on primed enemies with viral, you slash through them, even though they receive less of the main damage, they will still die to bleeds because you're essentially killing stragglers with one swing. However, it's not the case with this hammer because it is cold. It has IPS, but holy hell, its main damage source is cold. Now, some of you might jump in and say, but hey, Nightmare, that means that's easy viral. Just slap on a Fever Strike mod. You're right, but then now, you're just dealing pure viral damage. That's only good in two cases. One, if you're armor stripping the enemies, so you can deal full-on viral damage to them, because they'll take more damage from viral. Two is if you're using Varuna, and then you have some other questions arise. But hey, what do you mean if you're using Varuna? Because if you're invisible with Shroud of Dinar and exit it, you get bonus status chance, crit damage, and all your hits will proc slash. Guaranteed slash proc. So the high status chance allows you to proc viral very easily, and all your hits will be guaranteed slash procs. So you're procking viral and bleeding the enemies. On top of that, your crit damage is then multiplied. So these are the two scenarios where going for raw viral is actually way better. Since this is a hammer, it's good for a few things. Finisher damage, raw damage heavy attacks, and slamming this weapon into enemies' faces. So what does the Incarnon mode do to this hammer? Like all Incarnon melees, you need to build up to 6 times combo. After that, perform a heavy attack or a slam attack. In this case, it's slam attacks are better because that's its gimmick. When you slam attack, you create an ice field. This is similar to the Furax Incarnon. When you heavy slam, you create a patch of fire, which does no damage. In this case, the patch of cold does no damage. It just slows down enemies. And the problem with this patch of cold is that it's barely noticeable. I mean, you can notice the blue area of effect that you did when you performed a slam attack, but that's about it. It does no damage. The sad part is, SIBEAR was a very shit weapon. Yes, I said it. Nobody used it properly. For a stat stick, sure, because, you know, the high ribbon disposition, whatever. The sad part is, the evolutions don't even help it out when it comes to one of the most important things, and that's follow through. However, they do give you bonus range. Since we're on that topic, let's go take a look at the evolutions. Okay, here we are at the evolutions. Evolution 1, of course, reach 6 times combo, heavy attack or slam attack, and boom, you get your Incarnon Mode. Incarnon Mode offers you 100% more base damage, 50% heavy attack wind-up speed. That's pretty good, right? Yes, it is. And you get that 10% increase to maneuvers. Moving on to Evolution 2. Both of these evolutions give you bonus 20 base damage, however, with little extra steps. The first one, you get additional 40 damage if you have over 450 armor. Not many loadouts are going to go for this, in my totally expert opinion, because as we know, armor is dookie, and DE should totally rework armor and health. We're not going to bother with this. I mean, if you're playing with Rhino and all that, sure, go right ahead, bonus damage, but guess what? Condition overload exists. So let's go to the other one, Master's Shatter. This is very easy. We get the plus 20 damage and 10 additional combo on targets affected by cold status. You know how easy that is? Prime enemies. Epitaph, one of the easiest ways to get cold procs on enemies. Frost, Citrine. You see where I'm going with this? There's quite a few Warframes. Thermal Sunder. Yeah, it not only does heat stuff, it does cold stuff too. All of that helps you get bonus combo when you hit enemies affected by cold. So very, very easy. Moving on to Evolution 3, this is where you get the bunch of utility ones, as always. From the right, you have increased combo duration. This combo duration is really good for people who just want to take it easy and get that passive combo duration. So you don't have to force yourself in playing Naramon. You can go any focus schools, and then your guns can have the dexterity arcanes. Combine them all, you're going to get like 30 plus combo. Very easy. 60% heavy attack wind-up speed. You don't need this because there are mods for that. And if you're running a heavy attack build, you're going to be modding for either Killing Blow or Amalgam Organ Shatter. And plus, when you go into Incarnon Mode, you get 50% heavy attack wind-up speed. And there's the Swift Momentum Aura, which gives you additional combo duration and heavy attack wind-up speed. I mean, there isn't a cap when it comes to heavy attack wind-up speed, so if you want to min-max that little frame of animation, you can. Go for it. And now we go to the funny, plus 1 meter of range. If this only wasn't range and gave us additional follow through, it would have been way, way better. It's kind of a slap in the face. So if you're playing with Varuna, you can take the bonus range. It's actually way better because you're going to be force proccing Slash with her Shroud of Dinar. Moving on to the final evolution. This is what makes or breaks this weapon. In this case, it doesn't do anything that special. From the right side, this is stupid. Don't ever use this. Some may ask, but why? It's like the worst type of vigorous swap ever. You have to use your primary weapon, hit them with your primary weapon, swap to get 2 times critical damage, which only lasts for 1 attack. Imagine doing this back and forth. No, I want you to sit there and picture yourself doing that. Yeah, that's not fun, right? And the middle one, increase crit chance by 25, making it have the same crit chance as Fragor Prime. Now with these evolutions, SIBEAR is slightly better than the Fragor Prime, because for one, SIBEAR has better attack speed, but Fragor Prime has that additional 0.5 critical multiplier. That's the only difference now. Both have the same base damage. And finally, you don't need this. So, killing enemies with 3 or more cold procs will give you initial combo, which only lasts for 10 seconds. It's not permanent. So, not worth it. So, the best in slot is the crit chance. Evolution 3 just didn't have anything useful. Would have loved it if they give us additional follow through, at least, to make it more powerful. Alright, now that's out of the way, let's take a look at the builds. Since this is a hammer, we're going to be using the Crushing Ruin stance. This is the better stance, the only good stance you want. It has better swing speed and an amazing block forward combo as it allows you to spin to win. This spin to win can have you cover more ground. Now the first build is using Grouping and Armor Strip because it's gas. This Grouping and Armor Strip is really good because, of course, we're not running range and we're dealing with that horrible follow-through issue. So if you don't know what gas does, once you hit an enemy and proc gas, you spawn a cloud, and that cloud deals damage in the area, and each enemy can spawn their own gas clouds. So this allows you to have some crazy quadratic scaling. The more enemies you have grouped up, the more damage you deal, simply put. It's a very standard build. Condition Overload, giving you base damage when enemies are affected with unique status effects. Crit chance, crit damage with Blood Rush, Organ Shatter, and Gladiator Might. The Faction mod to double dip might damage for that 2.4 times scaling. The 2 elemental mods to form a gas, and an attack speed mod. All you have to do is prime enemies, group them up, armor strip, and hit them, and they'll just explode. And I'm using the Epitaph here for that viral, heat, and forced cold procs. So that means one single hit and you're already at crazy amounts of combo with that perk 2 evolution. And then the second build is the combo heavy attack build. I suggest using this on someone like Varuna, where you're always in your melee mode. Because let's be honest, priming, then having to pull out your melee to then do the heavy attack swing, it's annoying. So if you use it on someone like Varuna, who can always be in her melee, and she does her own priming with the second ability, you're good to go. Also, another great thing is that her second ability allows her to spread the status effects, allowing you to kill more enemies within the area without your melee. This, of course, increases your KPM and makes this weapon a lot better to use. You can mod this for viral and add other critical multipliers as a bonus, or if you don't want to bother with armor stripping with Varuna, you can just go with raw corrosive damage. If you want some quirky, fun builds, I did release 2 types of builds which utilize the slam mechanic. If you want to know more, please do go check out my Furax Incarnon video, where I go in depth in terms of slam attacks with the Incarnon mode on melees, and how to actually make it feel better and stronger. Anyway, folks, this is the SIBEAR Incarnon. Unfortunately, it's not as useful as other Incarnon melees, but we got something working. Anyway, folks, that has been it from this video. I do hope you've enjoyed and learned something from it. And if you did, feel free to leave a like, share, and subscribe for more Warframe content streams and so much more. Do refer to the description. Thanks for watching, and as always, peace.